Good morning, friends. Good morning, audience. Today I'm gonna record video number 6 on that movie, 2001: Space Odyssey, and today's I think in a stage of a very important uh, feed of information here. So as you can see, this is an exclusive spacecraft, or Earth somehow craft that you don't see. And he is the only one. Haywood is the only one who can ride that ship. You can count seats, you can count, and so on and so forth. Lights and even speech. Actually, it's got some metaphor.
Hi. See you way back.
Four red chairs, but everything is blue.
We haven't seen you out here for a long time.
Very nice seeing you.
Did you have a pleasant flight?
It's very nice, thanks.
Okay, in a long time, that means this is an emergency session.
Station security is supposed to be meeting me.
Oh, well, then call them for you.
Please. Underage.
So, Mr. Miller, Miller name, I am familiar with it to be Jewish.
Oh, sorry, that's quite all right. I think you must agree. Thank you. It's nice to have you back. Did you have a good flight? Oh, very nice of you. Good. Well, shall we go through?
Regions number 17.
Thank you, student. I do it possible.
So she asked for elevator number 17. Now, number 17 is very significant here. It has some historical context as well as religious context. I will explain it to you. And again, as you can see, everything is blue except those 4 seats. What do they signify? This is definitely not a stylish setup. Those red devils you sit on. You get it? Okay, here she got English, Dutch, Russian, French, Italian, and Japanese. Japanese, I think that's where the headquarters of Masonry is, right? You know, that world of the blue, according to Huxley, Brave New World, blue flames of the devil, right? Now you may ask Japan. Japan was always, to me, was always a distant part of the world, right, on its own. You know, like a country way in the east, right? Probably the most eastern country. Siberia is east, further east still, but no, Siberia is not a country. But I realized there's a movie for Liam Neeson talking about the Jesuits going into Japan and so on, and that's significant because now Japan is ruled obviously by so and so, and World War II was just no different from World War II in Germany and in Europe and here and there, right? Basically, certain class in Japan was destroyed and another class was brought into power. No, they were like, yeah, I mean, that's that. But that's significant also because something else happened in Asia. And that is also relevant to the Chinese emblem on that spaceship, Air Force emblem on that spaceship. I will tell you about that.
Welcome to voice print identification. When you see the red light go on, would you please state in the following order: your destination, your nationality, and your full name. Surname first, Christian name, and initial.
Moon, American, Floyd, Haywood R.
Thank you. You are cleared through voice print identification.
I don't know what voice print identification means, but I think there's something in the voice or in the words that somebody says to identify a colleague, if you will, or a friend or foe. Friend or foe, IFF, it's called identification, friend or foe. That is used in the Air Force terminology, aircrafts when they're in dogfight or air battle. So they won't shoot a friendly airplane. They send a signal and then the signal returns with identification. So they will not press the button and shoot a missile or bullets into that airplane, especially if the airplanes are similar in making, similar to what's happening in Ukraine and Russia now. Okay, so he passes. Here we go. Here I counted, there is 1, 2, 3, 4. On the way in, there's 4 love seats that are red. Again, the seats are red, meaningly you kind of impersonate your, or appear as a red, you know, hide your blue but appear as red. And then here there's 1, 2, 3, right? 3 love seats, but there are 5 armchairs, right? 5 armchairs, so that's 5, 3, 4, 5, and 3, right? Or 7 and 5, right? But the 5, 7 does not mean much to me. However, this is 4, 5, 3 here. And there's the Hilton, right? There's the Hilton here. The Hilton actually is, in fact, I mean, I'm making an assumption here, is where some meetings take place. You know, like you go in and you think it's a some kind of you know, party or you know, gatherings or get together or something of the sort. Turns out to be a conspiracy session. All right. So that's the Hilton, and there's the monitoring person here, the one on the concierge, right? He's seeing who's moving in, who's moving out. One day I went to this hotel, not far from here, I think, because it has a Starbucks. So I sat in it, and you know, like, and then suddenly I get these people sit down, you know, and look at me because there were a lot of people in the vicinity. So I knew I fell upon a beehive, and I just left. But here you also see the word coffee. Coffee bar, right? Coffee, as I mentioned to you earlier, really whenever they talk coffee, they're talking about Arabs, right? No, literally.
Breakfast.
So have you got time for breakfast, Miller? I think I can manage that.
How long have we got?
How long we've got?
Please, in an hour and 10 minutes.
So an hour and 10 minutes, 110. But if you add it as minutes, then you will get 70. So the 7 here, 17, elevator 17, and then you get 70 here, 70 minutes here. So the 7 is significant. I'm going to shoot a guess to it in a little bit, to what he's talking about. But here is an ugly scene, as a matter of fact. A couple of ugly scenes that are going to come up. I will explain them to you. One is a little bit lengthy, but one is short but ugly, and then you will see what I'm talking about here. There's Lightroom, okay. So it's been 7 or 8 months since you were here. Again, we're talking 7 and 8. Now, 7 and 8 here has some significance. The significance of it is, I'm going to have to explain it here. You know those Arabic numerals. So 7, really, and then there's 8, right? These are called the Western Arabic. So these were the Arabs of like Spain and France and Northwest Africa used, right? But in the Eastern Arabic, which are same numerals but it's different lettering, right? Different writing. It would be something like this. This is 7 and this is 8, right? 7 and 8. These you turn around, you get 7. This one here had, I think, something like this or something of the sort, right? But now I began to realize back home that the 7 and 8, when somebody says 7 and 8, you know, they mean that. You move these two together, that's the 7 and that's the 8, right? And that gives you that. Well, you know, that is, right? I would say G, and then that gives you G. Or if you do that, that means you're Jewish, right? And if you're Jewish, then you're the G as well, but you're not. So that's the 7 and 8 here. I think. I mean, I'm just making. You know, I'm guessing here to what this is, but I don't know. I mean, those of you who know better, they may be able to tell you. I am an outsider. Is my information is the outsider's information? Let's put it this way.
Let's see, last year, yeah, 8 months. You suppose you saw the work on the new section?
New section.
Oh, wait. I have a couple of phone calls. We go on ahead to the restaurant and do that. Right.
Couple of phone calls. Give me a second. I need to bring some.
Mr. Travers, please contact the Met Office. Will Mr. Travers please contact the Met Office?
And you could also, I didn't track it, but often the case in movies, in significant movies like this, which is disguised as a history disguised as movies, and they reveal information, you can actually track the buttons, you know, the numbers that he pressed in there, the keypad on the keypad.
Hello?
All right, so this is his daughter, right? But that's not his daughter. And this is an ugly scene. Oh, this here is an ugly scene. Number one, she's wearing red, but she's in a blue environment. So red means devil, right? Or a human being that thinks they're devils, right? Some people I read, like in the belief of the Gnostics, the Cathars, you know, and the Shiites, and so on, they consider themselves, even though they're humans, they consider themselves as devils or fallen angels or whatever it is, right? So this girl here is what so and so, wearing red with 5 pointed stars on her, right? And she's living in a blue house. That's a Jewish house. Now this may or may not be literal, meaning she's either adopted or kidnapped or whatever it is, or perhaps they're meaning to say psychological environment or indoctrination or something of the sort. So I looked at Squirt. He called her Squirt. What is Squirt? To me, a squirt, you know, like a lemon, you press a lemon and it squirts something, right? Or something else, right? But then I looked at it in the dictionary. I am not, like, my English is not my native tongue, right? Then I found it to be a gnat, G-N-A-T. I mean, it's really a foul term for someone to call their child with, right? So a squirt is a gnat, is something, is something, is something, is something, is something. I don't want to trouble you with that here, but you know what? Maybe I can do that. So squirt, spray, sprinkling, inject, right? Jet, spray, spritz, fountain, gush, steam, surge, flow, insect, yeah? Squid, twerp, gnat or gnat, I think it's gnat. Pipe squeak and so on. So the term is pretty foul, right? And I cannot come and imagine somebody calling their daughter a squirt, right? But she goes like this. She's playing.
Well, who's taking care of you?
Where's mommy? She went shopping. Her mother doesn't give a shit about her, so she's gone shopping, right? Leaving her and shopping. So who's taking care of you?
Speaker.
Rachel. Rachel, you know what Rachel is. She's Rachul in Hebrew and Rahel in Arabic, right? She's the wife of Jacob, right? So now her mother is gone shopping, weird woman, right? Leaving her child. And then the child is being indoctrinated and taken care of and molded, right? By Rachul or Rachel in a Jewish environment, as you can see, right? Right there. I'm not making this up. Blame him, not me. But what does he mean by squirt? I didn't hear. There's no father here, right? Their father is not even mentioned. So what he's calling here is really a squirt, right? If you catch my drift. So she's a squirt that now her mother doesn't care what is happening to her. And Rachel or Rachel or Rahel is really molding her, right?
I'm sorry, sweetheart, but I can't. Well, you know.
Now she's concerned with parties. Really nothing else. She's party, she's playing, and then now party, right?
I'm very sorry about it, but I just can't. I can send you a very nice present, though. Anything special that you want? What? We got lots of telephones already.
So now I know this is Kubrick's daughter, right? But she's just acting, and he wanted to show her in the movie and so on, right? Now she asks for a telephone, and they got a lot of telephone. Does that denote something to you? It says the girl first she's playing, second she wants party, third she wants a telephone. Where he with like the tone of his voice was a little bit disgusted here. He seems to be disgusted by that request of a gift or a present. And then she's greedy, right? You know, so many telephones. She wants more telephones. She's greedy. But that may also be a metaphor for telephone. A telephone usually is a spying machine as well, right? But I don't know. I mean, that's my take on it is that she's greedy. You know, that red devil is greedy.
Anything else you want for your birthday? Something very special? What?
A bush baby. I can't make any better explanation. I cannot produce any better description or explanation of him calling her bush baby. You know what bush baby? It's a small monkey, right? With big eyes, right? You know, and they live like in holes. Usually they're eaten by chimpanzees if they can catch them, and they just throw them around. So playful, partying, greedy for telephones, and then she's a bush baby. Right?
Okay. Well, we'll have to see about that.
Yeah, we'll have to see about that.
Why don't you tell Mommy something for me? Will you remember? Tell Mommy that I telephoned, okay? That I'll try to telephone again tomorrow. Will you tell her that? Okay, sweetheart. Now have a nice birthday tomorrow. And have a nice birthday party tomorrow, too, huh? Okay, now take care and be a good girl, won't you? Bye-bye. Happy birthday.
All right. So now he's very punctual, right? Very persistent and very, you know, even though, you know, he'll call mommy tomorrow, right? But then now you see the charge is $1.70. So the time is 17 minutes, the elevator is 17, and then the charge is $1.70. What is he saying? He's saying that this little girl is the 17, right? So what is 17? I don't know, but I think that's Misra, Persia, right? You know, and the Statue of Liberty with those seven horns and so on. And it's found apparently, supposedly, in the old world. It's some kind of a Zoroaster religion and something of the sort. So, but that's what the girl is here. So 17. Okay. Now this is significant here. I see Russians, right? And supposedly that's what they are. And then there's Hilton behind them. So apparently they're also a member of that world in space, or where it's invisible in plain sight and so on. And they're sitting on red as well. So poor reds. Everybody sits on them. So here, as he walks in, this woman here in the corner is different from these two women, right? So this woman here is different from these two women. The way she's wearing red, as you can see, a red collar or scarf over here, bluish or pink or fuchsia, right? Dress. These two are wearing black, almost all black. And he is wearing gray. Now notice, although he's walking from behind, she points out, right, with her finger, as if they're saying, Kubricks are saying that she senses him coming. So she has extra senses, right? I don't know, but we'll see. This is very significant, folks. The first significant part of it is that I thought this was taped in one scene, but no, every like one few seconds is a different scene. How do I know? The gestures of the hand change suddenly as the camera changes position. So just keep that in mind, and then there 1-3 again. And in regards, in the context of the historical context of this, now I am back to the time of Muhammad. There was no Russia back then, or real Russia, or whatever it is, you know. But past Russia, past Islam, something was born among the Turkic tribes of that region, and they became what's called the Khazars. The Khazar or Kaisers. Khazar is the in Arabic is a pig herder, right? You know, like sheep herder, pig herder, cow boys, you know, and so on, right? Because apparently they herded pigs, and that was main diet, and they converted into Judaism, but I doubt it here. So that gives me another idea. Although we're talking Muhammad, right, and Islam here, I think what they're, and that's a possibility, what they're trying to address here is really Lah himself, and that's a very viable and credible thought here, or assumption or idea, right? Why am I saying this? Because according to them, he didn't stop by establishing the Muslim community in Arabia and stop. According to them, so there's a probability that he is establishing other things as we go along. So this is probably them saying he established something new in modern time. You know, I'm saying this for the latter scenes, right? So maybe the Russians, the communists, but now the dress gives them up. You know, the black dress, I think that's Jewish. The two women, and then there is, and then Haywood shows, he's very amiable and affectionate toward these two women here, you know, especially that woman, because, you know, she's like him, you know, Jewish like him. However, these two guys are not, right? You know, the guy and the girl are not. But here comes, okay.
How nice to see you.
Hey, Ward, what a wonderful surprise to meet you here.
You're looking wonderful.
Thank you. You're looking well, too. This is my good friend, Dr. Haywood Floyd. I'd like to meet Dr. Kalini.
Okay, so that's Dr. Kalinan, Elena and Kalinan, right? I don't know about Kalinan. But you can rearrange the letters in those two names, and you will get probably a Middle Eastern name.
Dr. Stretneva?
Stretyeneva. I don't know. I mean, that sounds like Russian, right? Or something like that. But again, it's not a name that I hear often or at all until this movie.
And this is Dr. Andrei Smyslov.
Now, Smyslov got me a little bit confused. It sounded like Meatloaf, right? Meatloaf, the hip-hop artist or rap artist, you know, like there's Meatloaf, you know, what's up, guy, you know, the dog, you know, like, and I kept laughing at him, you know, calling him Meatloaf, Dr. Meatloaf. So here, as you can see, there are bags, they have bags. I cannot read the writings. Aeroflot, I think. Yeah, it's probably Aeroflot. Yeah, Aeroflot. Aeroflot is the Soviet airlines.
I think you're right. I've read a lot about it. Did you sit down? Well, no, please.
So here he insists on him switching seat, and then uh, you wonder why he wants to do that here. It's like it just doesn't make sense, right? Just sit down on the chair that is there, right? But he's insisting that he sits there. So now, as you can see, and here there's a funny part I want to tell you about. These two are almost identical in gestures, right? The arm and the dress, and almost identical in gestures. Uh-oh. Hang on me. Give me a second.
Would you like a drink, doctor? Oh, thank you. I'd like a mad breakfast.
Okay, back.
No, if you don't mind, I'll just give you a few minutes, then I must be off. Are you quite sure? Quite.
Okay, as you can see now, this woman in front of him, she's the HORE of the house, I think. They brought her, he insisted on Dr. Floyd going opposite here. And now she starts signaling, as you can see, with her fingers and her hands. I don't know what these signals means, but one day in the past, I always noticed them, being done in front of me and so on. So one day I was like, there was a woman, and I did this, right? The very same gesture she's doing, right? And then the woman started laughing, and then I knew this is a bad thing. So I stopped doing it. I don't deal with metaphors or gestures or something. Now, if you see me move my fingers at one point or another by certain, like movements, I think it's subconscious acquiring by way of subconscious. We're unaware of it. We just acquire it, right? It is something like conformance. It's what I call conformance. Unconscious conformance. We always, a group of people always go like into the middle somewhere to conform to each other. And there's a leader, there's a follower, and this is not a psychological presentation.
Well,
and now, as you can see, when the scene changed, her hand gestures changed as well. These two women are not, right? Now he, the way he's sitting, apparently he knew what's going on, and this is a position of rejection. So he saw what she's doing, and then he's telling her to back off.
Oh, he's fine. He's been doing some underwater research in the Baltics.
Oh, underwater research in the Baltics, right? You know who's doing underwater research in the Baltics, right? Rabbi Ehud has brothers there digging under the Baltics, right?
I'm afraid we don't get a chance to see very much of each other these days.
well, when you do see him, sure to give him my regards.
Yes, sir.
So as you can see, he's affectionate, to Elena.
Well, where you all off to? Up or down?
We're going home. We've just spent 3 months calibrating the new antenna at Chilenka.
New antenna. Do these guys, Barry Haywood and Elena, do they and Stret? What is it? Not Stretyeneva. Kalinina, right? Or Kalinin. Do they do anything else except listen on people or, people's lives and societies? I don't know. I'm just making them. I'm just being curious and questioning here. Raising in level of awareness of people about really the business here.
What about you?
I'm just on the way of Clavius.
Okay, so he's going to Clavius. I don't know what Clavius is really. Obviously, this is either a Greek or Roman name, right? And I told you, this is Arabia, right? The black monolith, now we pretty much concluded what it is and who the man is and so I kind of made an assumption that this is back in time to that time, but in a different context or in a different light or methodology in order to find out what it is. And that is viable because I have a later evidence. Or it could be something new, meaning they discovered something new that akin to the time of Muhammad that has been established by Hal or La or Allah, right? Or God, right? And now they are going to kind of take care of it before it spreads out, right? Uh, so that's a possibility. Where is Clavius? I don't know really. However, there is the other possibility, and that is this: that instead of waiting for someone or La to commence something new on Earth, right? Or Hal, they do it themselves and then they abort it, and this way they kind of cut short circuit the process and cut him off, right? God or La. I don't know, but I am, and I think again this is mixed between the time of Muhammad until now, and that's what I think it is. Otherwise, if it's another person, then if you're born before 1968, then it could be any one of you or I or anybody else. So here, but my assumption is that now they collapsed the time span, or 1500 years it's collapsed, and they, the events are not necessarily relevant to the epochs, right?
I know. Well, Dr. Floyd, I hope you don't think I'm being too inquisitive, but perhaps you can clear up the great mystery about what has been going on up there.
I'm afraid I don't know what you mean.
Okay. So now, as you can see, when the camera changed, they changed camera. That woman here has now a different hand gesture, which means it's not exactly one scene shut together, right? And then now, when he wants to explain what that thing is, guess what? You see the coffee in the back right there. So the coffee, right? Coffee is associated with Arabs and God and so on, and their God, Allah and Allah and so on. And that's that, right? But Floyd obviously is trying to keep a secret while Meatloaf heard it through the grapevine.
For the past 2 weeks, some extremely odd things have been happening at Clavius.
And then again, I don't know what Clavius is. Sounds like an emperor. Now there are emperors, Arab emperors. I think there's at least 6 of them actually, and these are prior to Christianity, as a matter of fact. So maybe he's talking Middle East here because they're all from like around Syria and Palestine and here and there. Oh yes. One of them is Philippos. One of them is Caracalla, I think, or Caligula, or something of the sort. No, really Arabs. Yeah, Arab Roman emperors. Yes. You may think that Rome, Syria, and Egypt, or wherever it is, took after Rome and rose after Rome. That's not true. It was the other way around, actually. Rome, actually, sprang out from the Middle East. Well, for whole Europe, for that matter.
Whenever you phone the base, all you can get is a recording which repeats that the phone lines are temporarily out of order.
Well, probably having some trouble with their equipment or something like that.
Yes. Yes, that's what we thought was the explanation at first, but it's been going on now for the past 10 days.
We haven't been able to contact anyone for the past 10 days.
That's right.
Oh, I see.
Oh, there's another thing here, Ruth. 2 days ago, one of our rocket buses was denied permission for emergency landing in Clavius.
Well, that does sound odd.
Yes. I'm afraid there's going to be a bit of a row about it. Denying the permission to land is a direct violation of the IAS Convention.
Yes, of course. Will the crew get back all right?
Yes, fortunately they did.
Oh, I forgot about that.
But the risk of pressing you on a point you seem reticent to discuss. May I ask you a straightforward question?
Oh, what's that like?
Now, that's revealing. One doesn't have to be in that edifice, right? Invisible in plain sight, to know that it's really not an open environment. So when that woman passed behind Meatloaf here, he guarded himself. He doesn't want her to hear. So that's that's a telltale of what's going on in there. I deduced many facts about it, and it's not really pretty.
Quite frankly, we have had some very reliable intelligence reports that a serious epidemic has broken out at Clears. Something apparently of an unknown origin. This is in fact what has happened.
That's what I'm thinking. That's back now to because later events, as I will show them to you, uh, 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 says that this is back now. We're back in time into the Middle East, but in a different fashion. Now he's trying to kind of reveal things, concealed information and psychologically spin woven and so Kubrick is a spinster. All right, so it's in the Middle East. I think he's back in time now. But notice he's drinking alcohol. These two are not.
Sorry, Dr. Smith, but I'm really not at liberty to discuss this.
I understand. But this epidemic could quite easily spread to our base. We should be given all the facts.
Yeah, so now they're talking about something spreading, right? Spreading, right? And to their base. So who he is, I think we're talking here. He and Dr. What is it? Stretieneva are probably those northern Christians. I don't know, like Orthodox, maybe Orthodox Christians is what these two signify. Drinking alcohol. And notice here gestures, changed now, and it seems like Dr. Floyd got the point across across the hole, or across the table. I'm not available. Right? She's back at it again. Notice she changed her gestures again. That's the gesture I made to that woman, and she laughed, right?
As I said, I'm at liberty to discuss it.
Now, you sure you won't change your mind about that drink?
No, I'm positive. I really must be going.
Well, I hope that you and your wife can come to the IAC conference in June.
Well, I'm going to try. I hope you make it.
You do. You remember to bring that darling little daughter with you.
That'll all depend on the school vacations and all that sort of thing. But if we can, we will. Don't forget, you got a standing invitation to be able to get to the States.
No, of course not. Grigori and I will look forward to seeing you.
Well, goodbye, Elena. It's been a pleasure meeting you all. Dr. Schwiesler?
Whatever the reasons for your visit to Clears, Dr. Floyd, the very best of luck to you.
So thank you. Ladies?
Non viene mucho prima.
It would be nice to know what they said in Russian. Okay, as you can see, this is the moon, and this is the 4 hexagons. So why the moon? I don't know. Here they're trying to say moon is a desert, right? Really, I mean that's what it is. I think that's what they mean by it. I assure you, this movie is not in space. I will explain a few things later relevant to this concept or this fact that this movie is really not in space. So the moon usually is a also a deity in some Gnostic occults or cults like Shiism, Alawism, and other things. So it's also some kind of secondary deity. Like the worship of heavenly stellar bodies existed in Yemen and then spread out into Egypt, old Egypt, and so on, along with the Hyksos, right? And then into greater Syria and Persia, and later into Europe, of course, the worship of the sun and the moon. And they actually, the Alawis of Syria do worship the sun and the moon. And I saw it in Turkey as well. Those people, they do actually. I one time saw a woman on a hill, she's dressed like Arab, even though it's in Turkey, right? Like headscarf black, not like the white scarf that you see typically on Sunni Muslim women. And when the sun rose, she started dancing like this. She would like dance in front of the sun on the sunrise. And anybody else would think the woman is out of it or nuts or something of the sort. But no, I had some prior information to that kind of religion, and sure enough, so the moon could be that, or it could be because it's so desolate, and isolated. It could be Arabia itself. Arabia is a peninsula and it's all a desert. Really, there's nothing in there except sand and stones. There are some green things in there, like greenery and pastures, but they're in the mountainous region. But they're not always green actually until it rains. Now here we have brown seeds. I don't know what brown signifies. But then again, here you see him all alone in that skull or head-like spacecraft that is traveling to the moon. And again, this here, the hostess, the airline hostess or the spacecraft hostess of Pan Am, supposedly, right? Pan Am is Pan American, world or something of the sort, right? They're as if they are celestial creatures. They're not humans. Remember when she gave him the pen, as if she was an angel, came by God, or the two different gods. Remember, I told you the one with the crescent moon and the one with the without the crescent moon. They look alike, but they're two different gods. Now, where do you see the crescent moon god? You see it in Egypt in their hieroglyphics or illustrations. There's a sun disk and then there's like two horns rising from it. You also see it in the Lord of the Rings. Remember that Sauron. Sauron. Sauron is something similar to Surat or Jabal Surat or the mountain. Borj or Borg, right, of Surat, right, or Saracen or something of the sort, right. It's like two horns with an eye, with a disc, an eye in it, and it's got fire, and there's that two horns of a crescent moon. Now this is also in Mecca. Those people came back to Mecca, and basically what they're saying, like if you look at Mecca, there's that high skyscraper with that crescent moon on it, right? And then below it, there are three buildings and three buildings. So that's the 1/6 and the crescent moon. So it's very similar to this. What they're trying to say is two things. Number one is that they're insinuating you that Islam is that, right? Near Mecca, right? This high-rise building and, the crescent moon on top of it, and then overbearing Mecca. So this is two messages. One, to confuse you. If you look at it, you'd say, oh, that's Sauron, oh, blah, 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 right? Not true, folks. Number two is they're telling the Muslims, and the Arab Jews, especially of the peninsula, they consider that war over now and that they are like overbearing Mecca. But the miracle of it is when all these people come to perform pilgrimage, they mind not that. They don't even look at it. So like I said, I think these are denoted to be angels from the good God, right? And then the fighting here signifies training. They're now training, they're getting ready for a fight. Getting ready for a fight. Get it? Get it? That one is cute, by the way. I don't know what that signifies. The fish usually something about Christ, or I'm not very fond of those or familiar with them or whatever. This is like a smiling mouth if you count the peas, and then the two carrots and the cheese, and this is coffee. This is coffee, right? This here looks like a skull, like a head of some kind of something. And now, here is the evil god, right? The sun disk and then that crescent moon. which really is the two horns. So under the eye of that god, they're floating in space, but apparently he's leaving them alone. By the way, you can count everything from boxes to triangles to rectangles, and they all denote that same thing: 8, 5, 3, 2, and so on, 23, and so on. Okay, so now she's gonna take a number of steps. I counted them to be 21, right? Now, what does 21 steps mean? Above her, there are 5 lights, right? And then 21 steps. One day, I had a very nice colleague, a woman, and we used to ride the bus together, and she brought me a New Yorker magazine. And in that, there is a rough illustration of boxes here and boxes here. One had 21 and one had 22, and something in the middle, I forgot. And I read the article while we were on the bus, and it was profound, like it's really revealing. Not that I agree or disagree with the contents or the ideas or the presentation of the article itself. However, I tried to figure out 21 and 22. Then I realized that there's something 21 to Judaism and 22 to others. And I don't know, but now this woman is going to take definitely 21 steps. You can count them. So she takes a pause, right? She takes a pause when she starts and when she finishes, as if she means for you to count the steps. All right, here's a milestone. So now the cockpit or the bridge is manned by normal heads, right? Not elongated skulls or heads. So these guys are red, right? The devils. From here on, you would see the utility, right? Or the driving and so on is manned by red devils, right? Or those Zoroasters or whatever. Or that little girl, his daughter, wearing red and 5-pointed stars and so on. So they do the service. They're in the service level. Similar to, similar to, so they're in service, right? They're not the owners, they're not the controllers, they're not the rulers. They don't even join in the cabin to hear things out. They're strictly made for service, right? And some of the service is really sophisticated, right? Like driving a spaceship, craft or spaceship, flying a spaceship or piloting a spaceship or spacecraft. Again, these are the Magi's, the Zoroaster, Eloise, Shiites, all these the religions, and whoever else, right? So here's another point for you. All those acronym letters, right? Here, the ones that are, let me play it. As you can see, everything is blue except the bridge or cockpit. Caution, weightless, I don't know, something, it's not so obvious. Conditions, weightless conditions. So now that's God. He's not, but God now comes to him, right? He is the pilot, the head of the ship, right? And the two girls are the angels. And now the good God, the one who, like the sun disk and as well as the whatever else, right? A planet body or whatever, and not the crescent moon, is coming to talk to him. First, he gave him the pen. Now he's coming to talk to him. This is more of an appointment. He's appointing him and he's blessed, supposedly blessing him and so on. And the food, of course, the food may also mean, you steal dollars by way of cryptocurrency and investment and whatnot, right? All these derivatives and stimulus and schemes and scams. So this is very significant here. Zero gravity toilet. Like I told you, when they're talking about zero gravity or space, they're really talking about God. You may say, I don't know, but here he goes. Passengers are advised to read instructions before use. Here means try to understand the instructions. The way I look at it is, Haywood is walking, right? So, why? I mean, how significant is a toilet, right? I mean, this is like either disgusting or funny. Like, a toilet in space. It's like what is it? Portable? Those portable potties or whatever they are. I know what I mean, but that's not what it is. I want to show you what it is. I will not do. I will not comment extensively on this, but the instructions are 10. Zero gravity toilet, and you better read them, right? Understand them. Better understand them. Don't read them at face value. Read between the lines, and then here, right? These are the 10 commandments. The instructions are 10. These are the 10 commandments. And now we see the green here. I thought I saw brown, but maybe it's green. Sometimes I'm a colorblind, maybe. But that's who they say, God forgive me for saying this, that's who they say, or the Kubricks and the Haywood and that's who they're saying this is, zero gravity toilet. And here are your 10 commandments. And now again, we're back to that music, the Anglo-Saxon. So clavius actually may mean Anglo-Saxon, and I don't know, may mean Germany, may mean something. I don't know. Now here I couldn't help but notice if this is natural or not. I could be wrong about this. All these craters are hexagonal in formation. Are they all like that? I don't know, but I noticed the few that I can look at, they're hexagonal in again, you can count seats, you can count lights. They're all always divisible by 5 and 3 and 2 and so on, and 8 and 9 and 13. And here again, you get the 6. Those rocket engines, they have like 6, 6, 4, 6, and then within they're also hexagonal injectors, if you will. These would be the expansion domes in terms the rocket engine terminology. And then there are the injectors and the igniters and right. But each one of them, if you count each one, they have 19. They have 19, right? Each one has 19 injectors. And of course, you got your equal sided cross here, and I mean this whole thing here is an occultic thing. And here's the cockpit. Everything is blue except the cockpit. Now, in the cockpit uh, of the in the cockpit of the space station, it was like or that spaceship. It was blue and big heads, right? Genius. Here we're still red. Everything else is blue. Again, as I told you, the elongated heads were not some kind of a camera zoom error or distortion or anything of the sort. And these two, and there's the angel behind them. But the blue have their presence here. Nothing goes past them. Okay, so I don't know. I noticed this that in this movie everything is significant, right? Nothing is per chance or just there to fill a slot or buy time, or blah blah blah. So if you look at the screen, you would see all these three letters acronyms, right? Three letters acronyms. I tried to resolve them. I think I got somewhere with that, but really not all the way through. What that means is if you look at the screen here, it shows nav ver, right? I tried to nav, it may mean navigation. Ver, I don't know what that means. But then I read it again back from Arabic, in Arabic form, from right to left. It came roughly to be heaven, H-E-F, heaven, right? Heaven, right? Heaven. I don't know. I mean, like back to heaven or something of the sort. So is that what it means here? Now, when Hal or La or Allah or God is talking, when he is talking, when he's interacting with the crew of the spaceship, they write something HIBNUC. I tried to interpret that. I think I got somewhere, but I am not certain. But know this, that they all have some meaning and they spell out something else, right? That is significant in the movie. And I noticed they're relevant to the situation at hand. So, HIB, how he portrays Hal to be evil. So he is brooding or he's bluffing, right? And then now you see, NUC, now you see, or now use caution. HIB, NUC, he is bluffing or brooding, now use caution, or now you see, or something of the sort. So he uses those three letters acronyms to indicate something that is happening there, right? That's all I'm going to say about this. But trust me, all these he's trying to communicate in the movie to you by way of three letters, acronyms, and so on. I don't know, but they definitely signify something, and I tried my best, and that's all I got. Now here we're down on a blue planet with a space, space station, not space station, rather colony, right? And there are three. I want to explain something to you about the the uniform or space suits, right? Those suits, that means disguise, right? So I will explain that as we come along. But notice now the steps are significant and the position is significant as well. One, two, three, four. So they were standing straight, right? Three, the triangle. Now this guy takes 4 steps. So 4 is FOR, but now the position of the two, right, is 1 and 2. So that's 12. That's the 12th tribe and the blue planet, right? Or blue moon. Blue moon? Blue moon? I know there's like beer called blue moon. And here you go, they got 8, right? 8, 2, 4, 6, and 8. 8 is significant. I don't know. Sometimes they say super 8, you know, they denote some kind of a deity, maybe Allah himself, I don't know, or Satan or something, you know, like. But it's mentioned in the Quran. The verse goes like this: وَيَحْمِلُ عَرْشَ رَبِّكَ يَوْمَئِذٍ أو فوقهم ثمانية. Not to be precise, but those, I have to go find it. I don't want to do that now. I'm running out of time on this video. It's mentioned in the Quran that there are 8 who are carrying the Lord's arsh, not the arsh, but seat of rule at that time. Okay, I'm gonna stop here. This is like already over an hour, and I will continue in the next video, number 7. Have a nice day, my friends, and talk to you later.